I want Jean's jacket and James Dean's car, Eddie's hair and Carl's guitar. Then I'll be rocking. Yeah, then I'll be rocking. I want Ricky's cool, Johnny's cash, the King's mansion, Jimmy's stash. I'll be rocking. Then I'll be rocking. And when I'm on the road, I stay at Morrison's Hotel. If I had Haley Specter, I think I'd wear it well. I want Brian's ear, Domino's fat, the killer's finger.
Barry,
Steve, good to see you.
how lovely to see you guys.
Oh man, this is
Come on
what
over,
a
have a
coincidence.
Doing the best I can do right now.
Welcome to this edition of Northwest Music Men and Women. Today, Pat Tennis and I will be interviewing Steve Pearson.
As well as an iconic person in the music business in Seattle. As humble as he is about that, he has a place in this area for what he's done and his contributions as far as writing, forming bands, performing.
Doing it his way are really something to talk about today. As Steve Pearson, we're so happy to have you here today, Steve.
Nice to be here.
And I guess we'll just start with asking some personal questions.
Oh boy.
You were born in 1954, is that right?
No, I was born in 1953 at the very end of the year.
Oh, well, that's what I meant.
I thought so.
You had a couple of parents. Did you have any siblings?
Had a couple of parents. I'm so unique that way.
Did you have any siblings?
I have a sister, younger sister.
I want to know about what you want to share with us about your experience growing up in your family.
That's a terribly open-ended question. Obviously everyone thinks that they were quite normal. We had a nice family. We were middle class, I guess. Maybe you didn't call it that back then. We lived out in somewhere between rural and suburbia. We grew up in Canmore, went to all the schools. I was a fairly nondescript kid. I don't recall making any big impressions on anyone.
Well, that's not interesting.
Wasn't time yet.
Yeah, it wasn't.
I had colorful friends though.
So that house up being above Kenmore, up on Pontius, that's
Yeah.
where it was.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
The what I'm trying
it's a
to
mini
get
farm.
to, it was obviously the question about your family and where you grew up, but I want you to tell me all about your dad's tractor, because I saw that over at your house.
Yeah.
And was it a Ford, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God, it was gorgeous.
Yeah, my dad was a cowboy.
Yeah?
He'd come from Eastern Washington. My folks both came from Wenatchee. And we had cattle, we had horses. My dad did tractor work. He would drive all over the area and do plowing and disking for people.
With the Ford?
Yeah, yeah, it was bucolic, for lack of a better word. That's how we grew up. We raised our own beef. Neighbors grew corn and stuff like that. I wouldn't say it's like, I don't know, what the Waltons or something like that, but compared to what lots of other kids went through, we were quite old-fashioned, I guess.
Yeah.
Be a good
Yeah.
way to put it.
And as I recall you telling me, I think you come from a religious home from the beginning, right? Your mom and your dad
Yeah,
religious?
yeah.
Yeah,
Shoved
see?
down my throat from a very early age.
Yes. Well, we won't ask how that went. You know, we just.
Actually, it's part of my story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every Sunday we'd go to Sunday school, and there was this Sunday school teacher that came in. He was a special guy. I was maybe 14, 15, and he went on this rant about how rock and roll was evil and
That's
the devil's music and all that
That's
stuff.
right.
And I said, "You are such a liar. You are so full of it." And so he drugged me out into the hall, called my parents, called the preacher, the main guy. He said, "Now you say in front of these people what you told me." And I said, "Yeah, this son of a bitch is full of shit." And I never went back to church again, ever. That was the Pearson family scandal for many years. And
The next day
to
you
this
went.
day, I don't go to church.
Well,
But I play rock and roll.
you do
Yeah,
play
next
rock
day
and
you
roll.
got a guitar, right?
And you can edit that or not.
No, we're not editing.
I'm
We're not-
actually.
That's going to be the story.
That's a
actually,
beautiful
you know.
story. Let's say it again.
What's your favorite car? What would you, if you could get any car, what would it be?
Probably if I could honestly own any car, it would be an Aston Martin DB5 convertible, which is about a $5 million car, and I would be afraid to drive it, but I would anyway. As far as normal cars that an ordinary person could own, I have it already. It's a Jaguar XK150.
British Racing Green?
No, it's Cotswold Blue, as a matter of fact. About that color.
Beautiful.
And you were friends. Was it Danny Tennis that you were
Yeah.
closest to?
Well, he was the same age as I.
Okay. Yeah.
Pat was like the cool older guy, and
That's
Tim
right.
was the really cool, unapproachable older guy.
Yeah, and do you remember Sean?
He was a little kid.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah,
thought.
we laughed at Sean.
Was he the same?
Still do, apparently.
Whenever the chance arises.
What was it like going to the Tennis household? That's something I've
Yeah,
been wanting
speaking
to
of
know.
rock and roll.
The tennis place was sort of like the opposite of my home. My home, you couldn't say the wrong thing or somebody get mad. 6 o'clock, that's when dinner is. Everybody has to sort of regimented, I suppose. The tennis place, you ate whenever you felt like it. Barb and Bill were laughing with the kids. Joel would come in and say, "Mom, make me food," and stalk out of the room, and Barb would smile and make him food. Everybody was playing music. It was my second home in those days, absolutely. I don't think you paid much attention to me. I was a little
No.
kid then.
I met you through my brother Danny,
Yeah.
and all I remember was Steve's really good at basketball, And Steve's a big Beatle fan. You ought to see his room. He's got Beatle pictures and albums.
Regarded the Beatles. Did you see him in February of 1964 on Ed Sullivan?
Oh, sure.
Did you see them that night?
Yeah, and like everyone else that saw them, my mouth dropped open. I said, "This is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life."
Huh?
And what did your folks have to say about that?
Wouldn't walk across the street to see those guys.
There you go. And they were right.
In their world, they were.
Yeah. Boy, the rest of our world's
The same way
changed.
we look out and see
What is
Taylor
it?
Swift.
Taylor Swift.
Yeah. Okay, I look at that and I go, I don't understand that.
Well, I know, it's funny you don't, but I know when you've referred to Michael Jackson as the king of pop, or
I don't recall referring
you mentioned someone had called him the king
Mm-hmm.
of pop, and you had something to say about Michael Jackson versus the Beatles.
I think that no one can compare to the Beatles.
I think you're
and
absolutely
every
right.
single person that comes along and claims that title of being way up there
The
is
numbers-
totally wrong.
If you could play with any of the Beatles, who would it be? If you had to pick one.
That's the hardest question I've been asked all day. I'll say John because he's so cracked, and I'm kind of cracked, and Paul's too good for me.
300 years from now, they'll still be studying the Beatles and the songs and the impact.
Our daughters were into the Spice Girls, and they were ranking out the Beatles saying Spice Girls are the new thing. And I said, I don't know how many years from now, 2 years, 3 months, everyone will have forgotten that the Spice Girls existed. 300 years from now, and I used your same number, people will still be talking about the Beatles. There's no comparison.
There's no comparison.
Sort of makes all of us want to retire and inspire you at the same time.
Well, then that leads to this question: Beatles or Rolling Stones?
I don't know. At the time, it was Beatles. Today, if I hear Brown Sugar, I turn up the radio so loud that my eardrums want to bleed. If I hear Can't Buy Me Love, I go, yeah, that's great. It's great. So in a way, the Rolling Stones affect me like that, and the Beatles affect me in a different way.
Yeah.
For the party, so I'll go. I would hate my disappointment to show. So I will disappear. If she turns up while I'm gone, please let me know.
But I would never say the Rolling Stones are better than the Beatles. I would never choose. No one can touch the Beatles.
Beatles, Stones. Which one made you want to write songs? Both equally, I'll bet.
Yeah. I could aspire to writing like Beatles style because I like minor chords. I hear those melodies, those changes.
Yeah.
The Rolling Stones are much more rhythmic and much more earthy, and I'm not really very good at that. So I can write that Beatlish type, what I call Beatlish type melodic stuff,
Yeah, well, we like that.
easier than I can write the Rolling Stones type stuff.
Too
better at everything.
When you first saw the Beatles, did you say, I gotta do that?
I said, no one could ever do that. Me last of all.
Must be nice to know where you wanna be when you treat me cool. I know that you're lying, you can fool a fool. Baby, you fool me when I look in your eyes. I feel fine. So don't you be surprised when you're mine. When you're mine. When I look in your eyes, I feel fine.
I never thought I would be a musician. I'm still curious as to if I am now. I don't really feel like that.
Yeah.
I feel like an entertainer. I know that I can do that. I know that I can stand up there and project this thing, whatever that thing might be. But as far as saying, oh yeah, I'm a musician, maybe. I know a couple chords, but I don't know them all.
Yeah. Thank God.
You should say that because Sally and I, when we went and saw the reformation of the heaters the other night, that's one thing we both agreed on watching you was that you're on. When you get up there to do your thing, I mean, it's all about the song, the music, you're there.
So much competition, we forget just what to say.
How could you not be excited about playing rock and roll with your buddies?
Impossible.
I can't recall ever standing on stage wishing I was somewhere else.
Wow.
And I know lots of people.
going, boy.
Pat and I have.
We can't wait to get home and watch Wheel of Fortune.
I have always felt so lucky just to be able to do it.
Yeah. That's cool.
I can't imagine not savoring the experience.
No, that's cool.
I do. And the best part for me, that feeling of, I don't know what's going to happen here. Bam. And
That's how you
This is-
perform too.
Yeah, no kidding.
this is what I do. And I really, really enjoy it.
That's cool.
So you showed up with 5 songs, 5 original. Why did you start writing? A lot of us start writing because the band needs the product.
I started writing because I realized that there was absolutely no way I could compete.
Did you have a Rickenbacker when you were still in the parents' bedroom?
I did. That was my first guitar.
Yeah, Danny says you gotta meet this guy. He's got Beatle pictures and he's got a Rickenbacker.
I was so embarrassed, which is a foreign feeling to me. Back then, I was embarrassed to even say that I played guitar. These musicians, you and Abernathy and Kaiser and all these guys that were just, you may not have known how good you were, but I did. And I was in awe of you guys.
Well, you took it and ran with it.
With a little help from you. Actually, you probably are unaware.
Did I rank you out?
No, you were one of the few who didn't. You waited.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, you gave me I was out to see you guys one time, and you said, "Get up and play a song with us."
Oh,
And that was
good.
the first time I had ever done that.
Good.
I can't remember what the song was. Who knows?
It was
But
MacArthur's Park.
yeah, and I knew all the words.
Yeah.
Even a descending line.
Yeah, that was. Gotta go to a minor now. Something's not happening. It was 2-1-4-5.
Yeah, a 2 and a 3 minor.
Oh no, I thought it was the blues, according to Steve Pearson's own words. I thought it was the blues.
Well, it was a blues song until that next
and
part.
then when you put that in there.
No, you were supportive of me, and that was very helpful. And many people have over the years been very kind to me. Guys that were way, way better, 1,000 times better than I was, would say, "It's okay, come
Get
on,
up.
work at it a little bit. Here's how you use a microphone. Don't do that. Here's how you tune your guitar." I guess what they were saying is, we think your heart is in the right place. You just are no good.
Oh, I
Here's
hope
how
we were
you can
saying
get
that.
better.
You know, we all learn that way, though.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I thought you guys were just naturally fabulous.
No, I didn't know how to tune a bass. I thought you started on the lowest note of a guitar and went down from there. By the time I got down to the low E, it was like. So I went, well, this must be wrong.
She asked me to stay and she told me to sit anywhere. So I looked around and I noticed there was an empty chair. I sat on the road, biding my time, drinking her wine.
She talked until 2, and then she said, "Let's have a bed."
She told me she worked in the morning and started to laugh. I told her I didn't and crawled up to sleep in the bath.
I said I awoke, I was alone, whispered it low. So I let the fire isn't it good, oh won't you would.
Run a few bands by you, and if you can tell me a little bit about them, I'd be real interested in hearing. Tyson Riff.
Mark Munson, Joel Tennis, and Bill Walters. That was an outgrowth of my very first band, which was called Void. And they hired me and told me, "You play rhythm guitar and sing the high parts. You don't get any solos. You can sing a couple of songs." Into that band and started changing things around. And pretty much every band I've ever been in, I was always the weakest member with the most aggressive personality. So I would go in and say, "No, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. I don't like that song, that stupid song. We're going to do this." And then gradually I would grow and they would stay the same. And at the point that I was ready to almost catch them, then I'd move off to something else because they got tired of my tyrannical behavior, probably. And then it just sort of, I guess, real changes. I was playing with some guys, and I had written this song that we've talked about before called When You're Mine. And I played them the song, and I said, I have written this song. I think it's good. And they looked at me with, no, we're doing this. I said, you guys are so stupid, I quit. And I did, I quit.
Favorite gig?
The Ritz in New York. We played there in 81, maybe. Had never played in New York before. And there was a thermometer on stage that read 130 degrees. Fantastic.
Boxers or briefs? Had to ask that.
Both at the same
Maybe
time.
Must
Commando.
I answer that one?
Hey,
You said whatever I want.
Actually,
Commando.
in between, I think. They do this,
Yeah.
but they're not, they don't billow out like pajama thing.
That's exactly.
Awesome.
I could show you, but
I have the visual,
really
all right.
don't think
You
that
Go
would
on.
like to see that. Then I just kicked around for a while, and I had met this guy named Don Short. We sort of hit it off. Obviously, we love the Rolling Stones. We love this. We all got our hair like Keith Richards and stuff. We're cool guys with nowhere to go.
Don Short. I'd like you to talk about Don and your relationship with him while you were in that band and your experiences.
Sure, I thought Don was the coolest guy I'd ever met. Funny, talented, clever, the type of guy that I was proud to call my partner.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
I always thought that Don was the star of the band and I was his backup guy. But, you know, that would change depending on who was singing or whatever. But I thought, and initially when we played, Don was in the center. Ken Deans and Keith Lilly called me up and said, come over, we want to start a band. We're going to hire a girl lead singer and we're going to go to Alaska and make a whole bunch of money. And I said, I wouldn't be caught dead doing that. I don't want to go to Alaska. I don't want to have a girl in the band. That's what I said at the time, and I'm not ashamed of it. I said that. I said, I don't want a girl.
You should be.
I want to be in a rock and roll band. I have these 5 songs that I've written. Let's form an original band. And I have this friend named Don Short. So we got together, the 4 of us. And the first time we ever played, that's what it sounded like. That's what it sounded like the other night when you went to see us.
Wow.
That was the band. We played 3 or 4 of my songs. Don had some songs. We sang together, and we looked at each other and go, this works. And that was the band. That was the band.
That band was?
The Heaters at that time.
Right. And is it true it was named after the cold room you rehearsed in?
Yeah, we used to have a little space heater, called it God. They'd walk in the door and say, have you turned on God yet? And so we got a job, got hired to play at the old mill, but we didn't have a name. And Ken, like that, said, it's the Heaters. So that was us.
Ginger or Marianne?
I have no opinion on that whatsoever.
Well, get an opinion. How are we going to judge you? So Ken,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, he's got that style.
The whole
Amazing.
thing would have never happened without Ken.
Tell me about Ken Deans.
Ken had probably done more musically than the rest of us. He toured all over the country playing with various bands, but mainly a band called Goliath. They were sort of a glam band, and they would change outfits between sets. Ken too. Ken wrote a song. He wrote a couple of songs that we played.
Drum solo.
Two
No drum
chords.
solos. Yeah, one song with 2 chords and one song with 3. So Ken was very much a promoter. So he'd go
Good
out and he'd
promotion.
say, "Yeah, I'm in this band. We got a record deal with CBS Records, and we're going out on tour with so on." And
Deans.
just blatantly lie.
Because that's what the people want to hear.
And eventually many of those things came true. And partly because we were all brothers in that respect. We looked at the rest of the rock and roll world as our enemy. Okay, we said, everything that's out there right now, we're not like that. We're different.
Yeah, but it wasn't malicious. It was
No.
just tell them what they want to hear.
It was that, and it was also enthusiasm.
Yeah.
We believed in what we were doing. But musically, and the vibe of those songs, I still believe in very much. We believed that we had something to say that was different than what everyone else was saying.
Therefore, you did.
We did.
Yeah.
We still do. I'm still honored and proud to say that I was in that band. Absolutely.
Keith Lilly.
Keith Lilly, the nicest gentleman that ever was.
Yeah.
Smart guy.
Smart, talented, but above all, a true gentleman, Keith Lilly.
Yeah.
And we all sort of grew up together. Like I've said many times before, none of us had ever done anything noteworthy. We played in cover bands, played with nice guys, good players, nothing bands. Guys trying to learn how to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
And so we all grew up together as players. And we supported each other and shared our ideas with each other.
Keith Lilly, he also writes nice voice.
Yeah,
Yeah, nice voice.
yeah.
But he also is a songwriter.
Yeah, he hasn't written a lot of songs, but
But he contributed.
Yeah, oh, sure. And Keith and Don, they played well. They played solid. You could count on them to always be right there. Ken and I were much more radical. I was over there going, watch this. Basically causing trouble, throwing a wrench into everything. Ken was the same way. He was constantly trying to, okay, what new can we do? What can we do that you may not have heard before? And so that combination of personalities,
Yeah.
I think, helped a lot
Yeah.
in our growing into whatever it was we grew into.
In watching the things that I've seen, I noticed that the synergy was magical, and it shocks me to this day that you guys did not, as they say, make it. You know,
There are 2 jobs available. There are 25,000 people that want those 2 jobs. What are your chances?
All right. What's on your bucket list?
I don't have one. I've done virtually everything I ever wanted to do. I'd like to do them all a few more times. Well, wrong. I'd like to do some of them a few more times. No, I really don't have a bucket list.
I can't really calculate the numbers in my head, but I can see
Yeah,
exactly
and-
what you're saying.
In probably 100 different places around the country, if not the world, there was a Heats. They're all vying for this position. Some of them tried a lot harder than we did. And the best part of all is we didn't get famous, so we didn't have to see our picture on National Enquirer as we were checking out at the grocery store. I got to be a fairly normal guy, live a fairly normal life, and I have no regrets whatsoever.
Well put.
Done.
I get it. I got it. The record that Buck Ormsby from the Wailers and Junior Cadillac first produced was the 45 with I Don't Like Your Face and Ordinary Girls, right?
Yes.
That just blew up selling. That was amazing.
Yeah, I think we sold 20,000 plus of that, which I guess for a local record was really quite good. Buck Ormsby was the first real guy, the first iconic Seattle guy who took any interest in us. Well, I take that back. Ann and Nancy Wilson came out to see us early on at the Shire. But Buck approached us and he liked us. He saw something, said, I'd like to produce a record for you guys. So he did our first single.
Ken Kinnear?
Ken Kinnear, big time manager, knew everybody in the business, tried his damnedest to get us signed, but the interest wasn't there. But it certainly wasn't for his lack of trying. He gave it his, everything he had. Good guy, once again, very generous, decent gentleman, great friend to us, and produced our record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have an Idea.
Uh-huh.
On Albatross label that Ken Kinnear put out.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. It sold locally around 15,000 copies or
Something like that.
18,000.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know.
Eric Lasitas,
Best friend the band ever had.
John Kurtzer.
Wonderful guy. He was our manager for a little while. He and Ken Kinnear were sort of Ken Kinnear was a great big up there guy. He didn't really have time for us, so John was our liaison, if you want to call it. They were a good band who made a great record. They didn't come up like we did. They would play exactly the same show every night, make the same jokes, and we were much more. Here we go, another wild night.
Yeah.
And at one point, their manager came to us and said, we'd like you to chill a little bit. Because a lot of these kids don't realize that you're not an act. There was a woman who was their sound person who helped us a lot. She gave us a lot of clues about how to play on a big stage. She said, you're not at the bar anymore. You can't look at just those people. You have to perform for everyone out there. You have to exaggerate movements. And so that helped a lot. She was another one of those people. She probably doesn't remember that conversation, but I remember her.
Yeah. Howard Leese.
Howard Leese, cool guy. Howard Leese, the cool guy. Don and I used to have this thing that we did when we toured with Heart. Howard was always so like this, and Don and I would try and make him laugh. during their show. So we would go out to the edge of the stage and we'd go like this to him. And every once in a while we'd get a smile.
I have a question about Howard Leese. What is his policy for the number of takes for a guitar solo? Tell us about it. The song, my favorite,
Okay.
of course.
We were recording the song When You're Mine. Why don't you take the solo for this song? Because Howard was so brilliant. But I said, I'd like you to do a backwards solo, like the Beatles did. So he went in, oh yeah, I can do that. He played a solo, and we turned the tape back around and played it, and I said, that's good. Do you think you could do another take? And he looked at me and said, I only do one take. I said, Howard, how about do another one just this one time? And so he went out and did it again. And as you must know, it's extremely difficult, if not impossible, to visualize what your solo might sound like when you turn it around backwards. So he went out there and played some stuff, and we turned the tape around. And I said, yeah, between the two of them, I think that'll work. He goes, that's good, because that's all I'm gonna do. I don't do takes. We were playing at a record store. They used to call it an in-store concert. And Howard was there. And I said, Howard, you want to come up and do a song with us? And I said, hey. And he goes, I know. The very idea that I would tell him what key the song was in. Well, you know, I'm this grade schooler and he's the college professor. He knows what key everything is in. In those days, I was writing with Bruce Hughes, and I'd have all these ideas look at me and say, it needs to go somewhere. I would put in a minor chord and say, let's take it here.
Experiences personal with the Kinks. I know you played some or a couple shows with them or something.
Just one at the Paramount.
Oh.
They invited us to their dressing room and we hung out a little bit. But they were huge rock stars. And that was the only time I was ever nervous to go on stage. And the whole time I've been playing, I don't get nervous. I anticipate, I can't wait to see Ray Davies standing along the side of the stage. I went, whoa, don't know if I'm up for this.
But you did it.
Oh yeah, and as soon as it began, well, of course, it's, hey Ray, watch me.
Rick Randall is on your Have an Idea album. What was your impression of him? Because I know he is a songwriter and a talent as well.
Like these little guys, and here's Scott Rosberg and Rick Randall up there just tearing it up. Maybe Seattle's most brilliant group of players that ever was. But when we started making a name for ourselves, these guys that we had idolized would come around and go, hey, let's go have a drink. It was almost as though I'd go, Don, we're hanging out with Rick Randall. Can you even believe it? You know, because we were so young and we all had so much fun back then. I can imagine what it was like in swinging London in the 60s when all those famous rock and roll guys were going to nightclubs and you'd see so-and-so play, and we're all going out to see Jimi Hendrix play. That's kind of how it was for us.
Yeah.
We got to be, for a little while, princes running around or something, you know.
Worst gig.
I'll answer that by telling you a story. I played in this country western band called Blue Mariah, this song that I thought was the best song that I'd ever written. And we're playing this song, and there were two people out dancing, drunken, and I'm going through my song and singing and everything's fine, and They fell over flat onto the floor. And I remember looking over at Stipek and I went, what a great moment. And he said, you really have a sick sense of humor. I can't remember the title. It was a Louis L'Amour book. I like those. Particularly out traveling, I get a kick out of the Western stuff. I read incessantly all the time, so it's hard to remember which I read last.
So there.
Okay.
Mentioned the 1 to 3, G to B, you know, kind of a turn. First person I ever heard cover Connection by the Rolling Stones because of that ascending beginning of that chorus.
Yeah, something completely out of the blue. He started singing that song Bob Dylan style. And both of us sang it in harmony. Oh, connection. Oh, I can't get no connection. And we got about halfway through and we started laughing and we couldn't even sing it anymore.
You
we
and
played,
Don, right?
Yeah, Don and I singing that song. We were laughing so hard. I don't know if anyone in the audience even noticed because we were always doing goofy stuff. But yeah, harmony Bob Dylan.
Wow, you don't get better. You don't get no better than that.
Or worse, depending on your point of view.
Oh God. Well, how did it feel?
It felt pretty good.
Where the hell did it all go? He closed his eyes and he spoke. Every man who beats his wife, every cop who took a bribe, every teacher who would not try, they're all to blame. Every mom who left her child, every judge who fixed their trial, every single dirty lie, oh, wash away. The sun was slowly fading as we drifted toward the coast. Past factories and boomtowns, places left for ghosts. He said I was born up in Kansas, took my chances, I had time, but I never went back on my word. I never stole a dime. Every man shimmering as we came up on LA. Two dusty men in cowboy boots going their separate ways. I see it so clearly now. Those mistakes are right before my eyes. We've come so far, we fell so fast, and my old man was right. Every man who beats his wife, every cop who took a bribe, every teacher who night tried, they're all to blame. Every mama who left her child, every judge who fixed their trial, every single dirty lie will wash away.
What a song, man.
Once the door was open, I ran through. Wow. And never looked back.
That's really cool, Steve. Well, Steve, thank you. I enjoyed it.
Thank you. Very.
Thank you, Steve. It was great. Safe travel, Steve.
Steve, by the way, you Ginger or Marianne? I've met your wife. It's Marianne all the way.
You win.
I want Ricky's cool, Johnny's cash, the King's mansion, Jimmy's stash. I'll be rocking, then I'll be rocking. And when I'm on the road, I stay at Morrison's home.
Music store. I saw this Guitar Player magazine. There's a picture of Keith Richards, the coolest guy that ever walked the earth. He's playing a Telecaster, a beat-up Telecaster with a capo on the 4th fret. I went, wow, I'll buy a capo. So I did. I went back to this crappy little room that we were staying in. I put that capo on my guitar, started strumming chords, and everything sounded different.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, it became this magical instrument where everything I did sounded different.
No. It was like somebody said, "Here, fly this plane." Oh, right. What would be my first step?
If I had Graham's nudie suit, I know I'd wear it.
This is going to sound stupid, but I'm going to say it anyway. It's as though this little magician came along and touched me on the head with their magic wand
Maybe.
and said, "You get to do this. From now on, from this day forward, you get to be one of these guys." No, I said, "Yeah, that'll be me. That would be the best version of me."